Hello there. Hope everyone's doing well. What's on the glass? What is on the glass is, adulting is too complicated. Time to be a unicorn. It's hard to read against the water that's inside. Pure and crisp. If you think that that's liquor, specifically, Ms. Wigglewolf, like the liquor is not just a term for any alcohol. Liquor is the hard stuff. So if you think I am drinking a quantity of that, that's liquor. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. What's my favorite wildlife? Just New England forests. Everything that goes on there. The hell? Sorry, there's a new tab on my control panel. Stream health. Stream is healthy. Stream health is excellent. What the hell does any of that mean? What? I don't know if that has to do with like the streaming connection. That's weird. It's weird and I don't like it. Okay. So, you may have noticed, and I hope you did, that the topic today is anything other than politics. Please don't talk politics in the chat and don't ask me. If people miss it for some reason, they don't check the title, I will politely remind them, but I will not be answering political questions about any of the stuff going on right now. That having been said, the best way to guarantee that I see your comment and or question is to do it as a super chat, which will also get you a little gay heart of appreciation from me. Geez, it's been a while. Cause normally there would have been another stream earlier in the month, but I was on vacation. So I guess a bit has happened. I was in Los Angeles earlier this month. That was interesting. Have you played any Call of Cthulhu? Gotten into a PvP a bit? I played a little of the tabletop Call of Cthulhu. We did one campaign. I'm not sure we finished it properly, but I have. It's interesting. Hellbent or Timeless Children? I suppose Hellbent, if only because I suppose there's the slight possibility that if I spent more time dealing with Hellbent, I could maybe start to parse what the hell it is trying to do. Because, like, Timeless Children fails in what it's trying to do, flatly. It's hard for me to judge whether or not Hellbent fails in what it's trying to do because I still feel like I'm not sure what that is. The extent to which I feel like I understand what it's trying to do, my question is, why would you want to do that at all? But there's certainly more to talk about with Hellbent, whereas Timeless Children just falls on its face. Do you think there was a possibility Disney might outright buy Doctor Who? No, I don't. Or actually, more accurately, I don't think there's any chance the BBC would sell it. Dharma, 31 flavors of awesome. That's you, Vera. Member for 31 months. Thank you very, very much for the support. I appreciate that immensely. Happy last week of Disability Pride Month. Yes! Disability Pride Month. And a good one to all. out there with my vested bestie. Yeah, it was nice to see Jessie. It was very interesting seeing her house. If you didn't listen to this week's Jumpgate podcast yet, her house is as geeky as you would hope that it would be. It actually might even be geekier than I thought, than I was expecting. It was it was quite a thing. But yes, I have now invaded Jessie's home. I've been there. She can't ever undo that fact. Recently, I finished class. Do you have a favorite spinoff of Doctor Who? I really don't. Partially because I don't feel really equipped to judge very much. I still haven't seen any of class. Torchwood has a handful of good things, but so much crap. There is way more bad Torchwood than there is good Torchwood. The good Torchwood is very good, but it is the minority of output. And Adventures of Sarah Jane, I saw the entirety of the first season, a little bit of the second, but the thing is, like, I knew starting it immediately, this is aimed at a much younger demographic than me. I'm never going to link up with this that well, and I never did, and I didn't keep going. So the only one I really feel equipped to pass judgment on is Torchwood, and I don't want to give that thing the win by default. You know what? Hell, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say Big Finish. Big Finish counts as a spinoff. They're the best. Okay, if we're going to be more specific and say, like, outside of the main Doctor canon, War Master. War Master by Big Finish is the best spin-off material. Have I seen any wildlife lately? Mm-hmm. Star Trek themed sex dungeon. I am currently under advisement to not relay those kinds of specifics, Gozer. In the interest of all parties involved. Oh, Exacto. I read your question, but I didn't give you the heart of recognition and my appreciation for the super chat. Sorry about that. But yes, I've been advised not to answer such specific questions. Best to let people speculate in that area. Let's see. I just went for a walk at 11:30 because I was bored. I reflected on the fact feeling safe doing that is such a male privilege. Like, would you feel safe doing that in feminine clothes? Like, I might where I live, but I also live in the middle of nowhere. So, would I feel safe doing that in a city? No. What film creeped me out most as a kid? I don't know if it's what creeped me out most, but I remember really unsettling me was The Dark Crystal, specifically the bit where the Skeksis Emperor crumbles apart. Even before that, he's so sick. He seems like the embodiment of sickness, and that creeped me out as a kid a fair bit. I'm both fascinated and mildly intimidated by the fact that Jessie has an impressive nerd house. I mean, I'm happy for her. Is there an example of another TV show that has done the exact same message as The Idiot's Lantern and Doctor Who? Oh, I guarantee you that there is. Is there one that I feel like particularly singling out? No, largely because most shows that would do that kind of message are shows I wouldn't watch. But the general notion of you always have to forgive family is a long-running one. In the US, at least, it's been at the heart of a lot of sitcoms, which partly get away with it because they don't outright depict that level of abuse in as much detail as The Idiot's Lantern does. That doesn't make the core idea of you always have to forgive family and you can't ever cut family off completely. That idea is still harmful. It's just, it is much more evidently harmful in the case of the Doctor Who episode than it is as a blanket notion. Now, of course, people are quick to go, but like, you shouldn't give up on family. Like, I'm not saying you should just throw your family aside at the first hurdle, but like, if you would cut somebody out of your life for what they did, if they weren't family, and the only reason you're not doing it is because they're family, I don't think that's healthy. I just don't. Vero, thoughts on BBC and Disney? Any thoughts? What about Disney and BBC. Like in general, Disney's too big and BBC's a pain in my ass. That's kind of all I've got right now. By the way, I got to see a blood moon because it was close to the horizon. Nice. Coyote Azul. Thank you very much for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Glad to see you back, Vera. Being back here is helping me out of my anxiety spiral. I am so sorry that you are in an anxiety spiral in the first place. However, I am glad that you are pulling out of it even a little. Season 2 of Torchwood is underrated in my opinion. Season 2 of Torchwood, I had so much hope for because its premiere episode is so good. It's really good. And I thought, oh, if this is what we're doing all season, I'm going to have a blast. And it wasn't. Season 2 is better than Season 1. Not by as much as I would like. I was mouse in my basement the other night. I had to unalive it. Very smart mouse, though. Managed to evade my traps for half an hour. Mice can be tricky. I was a little creeped out by it when I saw it in theaters, but in a poke it with a stick way. Finally watched the current season of Doctor Who. I hope that you enjoyed it, Coyote Azul. Including the episodes I didn't like very much. I always want people to enjoy what they set aside time to see. You can't cut off family. I think the exception is to that is your kids. I think you have special obligation to the person if you created them to a point. 255. To a point. That is not an absolute. While they're a minor, still, while they are literally dependent on you, yeah, you absolutely have obligations. The further you get from that, the hazier that line becomes. And I say that as someone who has known some people who have had to, for their own safety, cut themselves off from their own offspring because it was frankly unsafe for them not to. So even that, I would say I am not comfortable saying that you never cut off your offspring. I will say that, things have to go a hell of a lot worse for me to feel like that is a thing to do. But the degree to which I feel that gets less and less the further they are from being 18 or younger. And I wish I didn't know people who were in a situation like that where they literally have to go out of their way to not be involved in their own children for their own safety. It does happen. It is not common at all. Abuse generally flows in one direction, but it can flow in the other direction. And if it does, I don't feel that that is an obligation that one should feel the need to maintain once it becomes unsafe. Did you ever watch Agent Carter? I did. I didn't finish the second season, not like by choice. I got lost in other stuff and never circled back to it. I don't remember all that much about it, to be completely honest. It was fine. Meat is a really good season 2 episode. I remember Meat being a decent episode. I have relatively recently rewatched a few episodes of Torchwood for a video that'll happen next month. But I have not rewatched all of them. Listen to the recent Jump Gate. How was Jesse's couch? I was not sleeping on a couch. Moving on. For me, the latest season of Who was a better bunch of episodes than it was a season. I kind of overall agree. As a season, it's lacking normal episodes, which is kind of what I talked about. I figured was going to happen when I talked about how 8 was not enough episodes. So yeah, as a season, it doesn't have a great flow. As a collection of episodes, it's pretty solid, though. It's going to be really tricky to place that one when I eventually do a new ranking of all the seasons of Doctor Who. I don't know when I'll do that. Not right away. Excuse me. I finished watching Amphibia. Have you watched it? I have. It's a good time. I enjoyed it. It's fun. I liked the nods to Gravity Falls, and it had Keith David in it. I'm there. I like the new season. Only problem was the mess involving some titty dogs. 73 yards and Boom were excellent. And Dot and Bubble was worth rewatches. Yeah, that run of 3 episodes was real strong. And like, I don't think as highly of Boom as a lot of people do, but it's still good. Hope you're having a wonderful night, day, evening at this point. Hope you have a wonderful day-night cycle. What's weird is current season has the same vibe I felt when I watched Eccleston back in 2004. Can't believe it's been almost 20 years since then. I mean, that is one of my kind of complaints about it, is that it feels very much like RTD just decided to recreate what he did 20 years ago, which I had hoped for more, but whatever. Kind of waffling on the Acolyte. I do love the depiction of the mind games Night Sisters play. However, I think the Acolyte has a lot of potential, and I would kind of like it to get a second season to see if it can do its ideas better. But if it doesn't get a second season, it's not exactly going to be a heartbreaker either. The Pup. Lovely name. Lovely title. Lovely thing to be. If you live in the Doctor Who universe, which Doctor would you want to go on adventures with? I think I'd probably get along best with 11. All things considered. 12 is my favorite, but I feel like I would irritate him too much. Did I get to meet Kipo? Yes, Ms. Wickerwolf. For folks who don't know, that is Jesse's latest cat. Never mind all that. Let's talk about gender fluid pride earrings. Oh, these came from the Renaissance Fair, the Vermont Renaissance Fair. Not only have I seen the allegations, Mr. Zaki Boy, that is going to be the subject of this weekend's video, which I am a quarter of the way through editing as of time of speaking. I liked me because Reese finally stopped getting yanked around. Yeah, Reese was kind of put through the ringer on Torchwood. Let's not kid ourselves. Eva Serration, who folks should follow places like Instagram and Twitter. Some really fun stuff. I was going to sing a song of freedom at Cabaret Gallifrey this weekend, but due to illness, I'm doing Missy again. Do you have a Who-themed burlesque act? I have had, to date, 2 Who-themed burlesque acts, and I'm working on a third, which will actually be a duet. But the first one I did, and I did this when it was announced that Matt Smith was going to leave. I'm not sure if Capaldi had been announced yet, but I did a number as the 11th Doctor having to regenerate, and I regenerated into a woman. So that was a while back. That was like, I put together a mix for that, and I don't remember the songs that were in it now. Because that one I haven't redone for obvious reasons. Because obviously we now know who comes after 11. I also have a 13th Doctor number, which I do to Queen's Who Wants to Live Forever. So I have 2, and working on a third as a duet. Hopefully that pulls together. We'll see how that goes. Saw Despicable Me 4 this past Sunday. I'm sorry. 11 is super ADHD coded. He very much is. Has there been a piece of media you've seen which made you think I should make a burlesque show about this? Probably. I'm having a hard time thinking off the top of my head of one, but like, I mean, there's definitely been ones, but I'm because you put me on the spot, I'm having a slightly hard time thinking of it. Oh, the other one that's it's not a Doctor Who number in performance, but I'm gonna count it as an honorary anyway, because I also have a number that I do to My Angel Put the Devil in Me, which is a song that originates from Doctor Who. So I'm gonna honorarily count that one. With regards to kids, I've once gotten into an argument with an MRA about cutting off contact with a kid if you find out they are yours. My stance was if they... Oh, okay, hold on. Cutting off contact with a kid if you find out they aren't yours. If you had been a parental figure to that kid up to that point, that's kind of a messed up thing to do. Or more specifically, that's a messed up thing to do to that kid. Now, I could see that happening as an outcome of having to get away from the hypothetical mother in that situation. And if the kid isn't yours, you won't have parental rights at that point. So I could see it happening as a consequence of needing to get away from a bad relationship with the mother. But cutting off a kid because that kid isn't yours and for no other reason, as if you're punishing the kid, no, I think that's kind of messed up. Have you seen Inside Out 2? As someone with mental issues, I loved it. I have not. Something which hasn't been done, I mean. Oh, you mean as far as burlesque stuff goes? See, that's the thing. If you're going to tell me something that hasn't been done, I'm going to have a real hard time thinking of that, because I have seen, like, Nerdlesque is big in Vermont. So I have seen numbers, like, I've had numbers around Doctor Who. I had a Ghost in the Shell number. That one's retired and has been for a while, but I did do that. You know, I've had those things. I have seen a bajillion different Marvel numbers. I've seen a Supernatural number. I've seen a number with someone performing as the freaking Hamburglar. Like, I've seen some stuff. You need to understand that. I've seen some things. Thoughts on Jodie doing Big Finish? Good for her. I hope she has fun. I love Nerdlesque. Oh yeah, Nerdlesque. That is my favorite style of burlesque. Like, all respect to people who do classic burlesque. I have seen the skill, the talent, the elaborateness, especially of the outfits that goes into that, and I can admire that. I don't find it fun to watch. I actually get bored with it pretty quick. Classic burlesque. Nerdlesque, I could watch all day long and be very happy. How important do you think restraint is in horror, i.e. not showing the monster in full detail / implication? I feel it's often overlooked and underappreciated in favor of reliance on jump scares. I think it depends on what the goal is. I think there are plenty of very effective horror movies that show off their monsters quite a bit. If you actually think about it, John Carpenter's The Thing, it shows off a lot. Now, granted, part of the reason they're able to get away with that is because the monster can take so many widely varied forms, it can still catch you off guard. But they're not too shy about showing you that thing. So, like, it can work, but it really depends on what it is you're doing. Now, specifically, since you mentioned monster, I'm assuming we're not counting slashers. So if we're talking specifically monster movies, I think that restraint depends whether restraint is appropriate depends on whether you are trying to create a thrill ride or an atmospheric sense of dread, because the latter benefits from restraint and the former benefits from ooga booga booga booga. So, you know. Twilord, thank you very much for the super chat. Just found out what burlesque is. Good for you. Hopefully the search doesn't increase the amount of straight content that I get suggested. There is a lot of queer burlesque out there. I think of the burlesque performers I know, I can only think of one straight cis person. Yeah. Everybody else is either gay or bi or trans or non-binary or any number of other combinations thereof. Yeah, I can only think of one straight person in the entire Vermont burlesque community that I know. So don't assume that it's like you go to a strip club that's aimed at straight people. Burlesque can be, not necessarily. Are you a fan of Queen of Burlesque Griffin? I am unfamiliar. You've said Escaflowne was one of your favorite isekai animes. Have you heard of the anime Aura Battler Dunbine from 1983? It's its spiritual predecessor. I have not. Have you ever watched color guard shows? Nope. I barely understand what that is. But in Cabin in the Woods, monsters are slashers. I wish Cabin in the Woods didn't completely lose me with its ending. I really hate the end of that thing. I really wish I didn't, because the rest of it's pretty clever. But ending ticks me off. Thoughts on alien movies? There's some really good ones. Stop making them. I mean, that having been said, the trailers for the new one look pretty solid, but it looks solid in the sense that it is desperately trying to recapture the first movie. And like, when the only thing you can think to do is recapture what was already done when the series was better, just pack it in. Just stop. They won't. It's a known property, but seriously, just stop. How do you feel about Nerdlesque based on underage characters? Like, suppose someone did a Harui Suzumaya act. Now, I've seen some burlesque numbers that did feature underage characters, and it kind of depends on the nature of the character, i.e., whether or not their youth is actually core to the character. And I know that sounds a bit weird, and maybe this is just kind of in my head. But like, for instance, I know someone who has an Princess Aurora number. So that's Sleeping Beauty. And Princess Aurora, I think, is 16 officially. But the simple fact is for her, for that character, for the way she's drawn, behaved, and depicted, 16 is arbitrary. She could just as easily have been 20 and nothing changes about the story. And more to the point, the act that I saw actually was a neat kind of a horror spin on it that basically had zombie Aurora and it used Evanescence's Bring Me to Life. It was a fun number. But like, that I can roll with. I've seen another act that was centered around Merida from Brave. That one made me uncomfortable because Merida being a child and like having a child's relationship like with her mother and these other things is core to the character and is core to the story, and it made me uncomfortable watching that act. So here's what I'm going to say. Things in general, when you get to teenagers, can get wobbly. And for me, at least, for me to be comfortable, it's kind of a case-by-case basis thing. If you're dealing with a character that you're talking like tween. I'd rather you didn't. I'd really rather you didn't. So, yeah, Nerdlesque can get a little bit dicey in that area. But, like, I wouldn't be mad at somebody for doing a She-Ra and the Princess of Power number. Even though, again, I'm pretty sure at least some of those characters are technically 16. Frosta I wouldn't be comfortable with because she's coded significantly younger. But, like, if somebody wanted to do an Adora number or a Glimmer number or Scorpia, like, even if these characters are technically, like, 16 to 18, I don't know. It feels like a cop out to say it's vibes based, but it kind of is. So that's kind of where I am on that. Other people will have different views. I walked out of the film in the cinema after it started for the first time on Monday. It was A Quiet Place Day 1. Oh, sorry you didn't like it. Do you have a favorite fusion from Steven Universe? Garnet. Spoilers. Started getting loud. I had a huge panic attack because I knew that there would be jump scares coming and I didn't know when. I gotcha, Rowan. Yeah, I was really glad that I saw the first. I haven't seen either of the sequels. I guess sequel and prequel now. But seeing the first Quiet Place in the theater was a really cool experience because I have never been in a theater that was packed, that was that silent. Like, people were afraid to unwrap their candy. Like, it was so deathly quiet. It was kind of cool. Yes, Discord. I do need to get to that. Give me 1 second, Carolyn. Opinion on The Boys. Have not watched it. No opinion. Don't like Garth Ennis's work in general, so that's part of why I haven't bothered. And I understand it deviates a lot. I don't care. My local Costco's already selling Halloween. Yep, I've heard about that. That's happening around already. So I imagine you'd have massive issues with, say, loose Naseda. Yeah, loose. You want to do Ida the Owl Lady? Go for it. Loose and Amity or Willow or Gus. Like, could you not? Could you just not? And I would also feel the same about like a Mabel or Dipper Pines number. But anyway, does that answer change if a character is depicted at different ages, e.g. Simba's youth at the point the first half of Lion King, but his adulthood is key to the final half? I would say you should be performing as the adult version if you're going to do that. And I've seen that as well because I've also seen so if you know this character, Sharpay from High School Musical. Now, she actually got her own spinoff, and by the time she was done, the character was like in college and over 18, and so the idea for the number was dealing with her at that point as opposed to in high school, even though that stuff's kind of better known. Like, it can get weird, and it can be at times it can be weird and kind of like hair splitty at times, but you do what you can. Anyways, Discord, reminder, the Council of Geeks Discord is a Patreon exclusive perk, and that is the place to guarantee that I will answer your question other than doing it as a super chat. When I come back, I will not be trying to backtrack and catch up on this chat, so if you have thoughts or anything you want to share now, do it as a super chat, and I'll address it when I get back. Discord, what is your favorite cocktail or alcoholic drink? I'm not sure if I could define a favorite. I can tell you what my go-tos are. Because, like, I tend to look at a menu and go, I tend to get not super adventurous, like, boy, that sounds bizarre, I'll try that. Not like that, but I'll be like, ooh, I haven't tried that, and that sounds interesting, is what I tend to do. But if I'm going for defaults, my safety, like, this is my go-to. Favorite cocktail is a Paloma, favorite wine is a Riesling, and favorite other alcoholic drink is hard cider. A name you'd love to give for a future pet. I've never thought of a pet's name in advance of meeting that pet. It's never occurred to me to do that. Like, how are you going to name somebody until you've met them? Like, get a sense of who they are. And you know, until they've told you. How do you know somebody's name if they haven't told you yet? I'm just saying. An art movement you feel passionate about. An art movement? You mean like Cubism? Like the Renaissance? Like I don't know. Post-punk? I don't know. Hmm. What's your favorite flower? That's one of those questions where the answer I give is going to vary depending on the day. Some day I'm going to say roses. Some days I'm going to say lilac. Some days I'm going to say hydrangeas. Like it's going to vary, but like there's 3 options for you. My secret to looking young: HRT, baby. Estrogen, all the way. Like I'm only kind of joking when I say that. Here's one thing that I will say: if I hadn't had laser facial hair removal, and if I had a beard, I don't think anyone would mistake me for my age, because there would be a lot of white in that beard. Like I've got the white streaks going on here, but like I was getting a lot of. I would have a very salt and pepper beard if I could still grow one. So, what's the best kind of cake in your opinion? Ooh, I'm not sure. You know what? Partially because as I've aged, I kind of favor pie over cake at this point. But favorite cake, I still like red velvet. I know it's like falling out of favor. I do like it though. Ooh, no. You know what? Tres leches. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good stuff. Do you remember in which video you did an opening gag where you said first name Council, last name Geeks, middle name of? I don't remember what video I did that for. I remember doing it. I don't remember when. You need to realize there's like 1,500 videos on the channel at this point. I don't remember what video that was. That gag has been living in my head for a long time, but I can't find it. I know it's real because the gag is the reason why me and my brother used to call you Council as an inside joke whenever we talked about your recent video. Like, it was very common for my brother to ask me, what did Council say about blah? I wish I could direct you to that. I don't remember. I remember doing that. I remember doing that gag. I don't remember what it was for, though. Sorry. I've done this too long. I've done too much. All right, moving on. You know that book I told you about, the one set in the Dark Ages in Ireland with a transmasculine Viking and a genderqueer sorcerer? How do you feel about a cishet man writing a book with characters like that? I think some people would argue it's not his place. Personally, I don't have a problem with anybody writing anything. What I ask is that if you're going to do that, A, do your research, and B, get some sensitivity readers on it to make sure you didn't mess up. Like, just do that. And I think that I don't think there is inherently a reason why a cishet writer can't work with those characters or tell those stories. Again, bring in people who do understand the experience that you're trying to communicate to at least review your work and give you notes. But no, I don't think that's an inherent automatic. Now, are there some stories that maybe these people shouldn't try and tell? Yeah, maybe, but I also don't feel like trying to figure out an exact situation where I'm like, that's not your story to tell. There are certainly instances, but for me, there are a lot fewer than some people tend to be about it. The Boys did an episode where the main character is wearing another person's supersuit to infiltrate a party. Oh, I heard about this one. Yeah. He ended up having to pretend to be a sub in a BDSM situation to one of the superhero doms to keep up the ruse, and he doesn't know the guy's safe word, so he can't stop anything, and of course it's played for humor. Would you agree a good rule of thumb, if you're writing any jokes that involve a male character that have to do with sex or violence, you shouldn't try to get humor from something they experienced that wouldn't be funny if it happened to a femme person? I mean, generally, yeah. Like, that's a horrifying scenario. And again, there is a difference between other characters finding it funny and the narrative as a whole finding it funny. And I happen to know for a fact that one of the creators behind that did say we thought it was funny. And like, that's another reason I have no interest in watching The Boys. If that's what you think's funny, cool. I'm not saying you shouldn't have the ability to make the show you want to make. Go ahead and make it, especially if it connects with people, but I don't want to watch it. Suppose hypothetically, one of J.K. Rowling's kids or grandkids come out as trans, and having someone like that in her life did actually get her to change her views. FYI, I suspect she just cut them off in reality, but go with it. Okay, so we'll gloss over that likelihood. Would you want her to try and make amends to the community somehow, or would you rather she just shut up forever about the topic at that point? I would like, okay, if she ever, and I do not expect this, if she ever felt truly remorseful, I would like her to funnel the effort that she has put into putting down trans people for the last 4+ years and funnel it into bolstering trans voices at every turn. Not speaking for us, but using her platform to give us a stronger voice. That, I think, would be the best way to square that circle, because I would not feel comfortable with anyone with her history feeling that it was her place to speak for us. What she could do, again, fully in theory, would be to use her status to enhance our voices and make us heard. That would be what she could do. What made you decide to flip Space Babies and Devil's Court in your season 1 ranking? Well, I kind of talked about that in the ranking itself. So for folks who didn't know, I kind of personally enjoyed Devil's Court a little bit less than Space Babies, but when I did my ranking for the season, I put Devil's Court above Space Babies. And the reason for that is I do think Devil's Court is a stronger put together piece. It just happens to lack direct appeal to me. Now, this is, again, one of those things that you ask me a different day, I might do it differently. On the day I did that ranking, I made the decision I was going to factor in, is this a good piece of work? A little bit more, and in the case of that specific ranking, slightly over my own personal taste for the thing. Whereas on another day, I might decide, you know what? Regardless of its strength, my taste is, I think this is better, and I might flip them. Again, like with so many of these things, ask me on a different day, get a different answer. What are your thoughts about Russell T. Davies saying Mrs. Flood's fourth wall breaks will never be explained? I don't care. I don't care. At this point, I have so little interest in the Mrs. Flood mystery box that I just don't care. Do you think that keeping Ruby on for a second season is a missed opportunity to have an all non-white TARDIS team, similar to how bringing in Dan was a missed opportunity for an all-female TARDIS team? Not automatically, inherently. Like, it would kind of depend on the dynamic when they bring the new companion in. Like, for me, the bigger issue with bringing Dan in wasn't that it made us not have an all-female team. It was that it robbed Yaz of the chance to become, like, really close and really explore the dynamic between her and the Doctor without it being interrupted by somebody else. That was my issue with Dan coming in. It had nothing to do with the fact that he was a guy. Best use of a tortilla. Breakfast burrito. Favorite cookie type. The kind that's in my hand right now that I could be eating, but I'm not. Where are you? Damn you! Favorite guitar riff, if you have one. Name that tune. Was there any subject you were, while you were matriculating in college, that you weren't sure you were going to like and ended up liking anyways? Not that I can think of. I was pretty good at guessing what I would and wouldn't like. So no, I legit cannot think of any. Thought exercise. You are a newly emerged mutant and you get an invitation to come to Krakow. Oh, so we're in the more recent X-Men stuff. The stuff that I don't know what the hell's going on. Who will be there to greet you when you arrive? Difficulty. Yes, Mystique, but there have to be 2 others with them that aren't Mystique's kids. Fine. So if it's Mystique and 2 others, Mystique, Shadowcat, and Colossus. I bet you even Metal, he gives great hugs. There's no question here. I wanted to say that this is one of the few good and interesting places on YouTube and all the preferred platforms, and my life has been enriched by your presence and the wonderful content you provide. Thank you very much. All right, I am back in the YouTube chat. Do we have new... Oh, we have 1 new super chat. Erica, thank you very much. Very generous, and I appreciate it greatly. Favorite book when you were in high school? Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Still one of my favorites. Like, I love Hitchhiker's Guide. I love Restaurant more. It's so good. It's so good. And it has the best opening line to any book ever. In the beginning, the universe was the story so far. In the beginning, the universe was created. This made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move. That's gold. That's platinum. That's pure genius. Coyote Azul. I can't get no satisfaction. The Rolling Stones. Well spotted. Good job, my friend. Do you think there's any real likelihood of James Gunn's DCU being the success everyone's hoping for? Not if they don't slow down. Not at the pace they're setting him. Like, I think that it could be good. It could even be great. And I'm hopeful for his Superman. But I know what the schedule is that Warner Brothers wants him and wants for the output. And that, I think, is going to sink it more than the quality of any given thing. I also suspect J.K. Rowling would make up an excuse like the kid kept arguing with me rather than admitting it's because of their gender identity. Or, just pull Elon Musk and claim that a child is dead. That freaking guy. Anyways. Been listening to Pink Floyd first two albums I've done. Pink Floyd has some good stuff. And I like some of the stuff that, like, you're not supposed to like. Like, I like Division Bell. Like, Pink Floyd fans hate Division Bell. They cannot stand that album. I like it. I also don't think Final Cut's very good. But Pink Floyd, they have some good guitar riffs as well. Well, actually, not even riffs. Pink Floyd is one of those bands where they'll have, I guess you would call it a guitar solo, but it makes the guitar sound like it's singing. Pink Floyd at its best could really do that, and it's gorgeous. And actually, I'll even cite a Division Bell song for that. Keep Talking does that really well. Personal favorite riff, Back in Black from AC/DC. That's a good one. That is a good one. I did go see Longlegs today. Also has huge creeping dread, but I found recordings of the two big jump scares on TikTok, so I knew that they were coming. That is an interesting tactic to work with that if you're someone who doesn't handle jump scares well. Very wise, Rowan. Nicely done. Twilord! Back again. Thoughts on time skips where are they now films nodding to their grown cast sex lives, especially as character beats that help the film's message? Do you have like an example, Twilord? Like, just at me. I'm not going to make you pay another super chat. I'm not totally sure I'm parsing the question. So if you have a for instance, I'll tell you the thing that was very fun with Pink Floyd was how many people apparently did not know Pink Floyd's first album very well. So when I did my review of The Devil's Chord and compared the song that the Beatles sing, like the bad song, to Bike in specific, the number of people were like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm so glad I could open up people to realize the nonsense that was Pink Floyd's first album, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. That thing is something else. Do you like the song Everyone Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears? I am actually rather partial to the Lord cover of that one. You have been a lovely host. I hope to see you tomorrow on Twitch. Well, thank you for stopping by, Dharma. I appreciate that. Is there any Doctor Who villains outside of the main show you'd like to see or think will show up in the main show? So you mean like Big Finish or comic book or what have you? Not that I can think of. Like, especially when it comes to Big Finish, a lot of those things are very much tailored to the audio medium and work better there than they would elsewhere, at least in the stories that they tell. So, no, I don't really have anything off the top of my head. My favorite riffs are U2's The Fly and Depeche Mode's Policy of Truth. Interesting. The U2 song that I really like, and again, deep cut, nobody has frickin' heard of this damn thing, is Alex Descends into Hell for a Bottle of Milk. I really like that track, and I have also done a burlesque number to that one too. I did I did a satanic nun number to that song. Assuming season 3 is a go at Disney, what one note would you give RTD? Beg for 2 more episodes per season? Tell them they don't have to add to the budget, like stretch it, just get 2 more episodes. Crying out loud. I used to be the biggest Floyd fan. I even got the Ultimate CD box set a while back. Nice, Hand of Omega. Rush, that's good stuff. I know that track and I have it on CD. Nice. Have you read any of Jane Austen's books? I've read Pride and Prejudice. Or most of it, at any rate. Digimon Adventure Last Evolution is now 22 years old. Ty has a stash of porn magazines, which... Okay, so this is what you're talking about, Twilord. Digimon Adventure Last Evolution has the now 22-year-old Ty have a stash of porn mags, which Agumon is confused by. This is contrast with them now being known local protectors. I mean, acknowledging that a 22-year-old has an interest in sex does not strike me as anything problematic. I can get that would be jarring if you've just done a time jump in a show where the audience is used to conceiving of that character as a child. I can get why that's jarring. I could see why it would be ill-advised for audience reception reasons. But overall, do I think there's an inherent problem with that? No. Lord really did something genius with that cover. And I've also used that Lord cover of Everybody Wants You to Rule the World for a burlesque number. That was for a Sith burlesque number. Busted out the red lightsaber for that one. I was really happy with that one. If you could be an amazing drum, bass, or electric guitar solo, would you be? There's something about bass solos. There's something about a bass guitar riff. I don't know. I really like those. Do I like black metal? Black metal's a little harsh for me. See, my dipping into metal, I tend to like folk metal. Or occasionally operatic metal. Like, I like Blind Guardian. That's my taste in metal. Do you think they can ever bring horror back from gore? I think there's plenty of horror movies that have been made that have been really successful that aren't especially gory. Yeah, absolutely. They generally don't, largely because the core audience for horror tends to like gore. So if you want to play to that audience, unless you're going for a PG-13 thing, which is not impossible, The Ring is PG-13. It's possible to do, but it's difficult to do well. What's my favorite thing about doing burlesque? It is a culmination of stuff that I love doing and at the same time wish I was better at. I don't think of myself as a particularly skilled dancer. I do think I'm a pretty decent character performer, and so I'm able to bring a lot of personality, but it gives me an outlet, an excuse maybe even, to dance by couching it in the striptease and the character work that just feels wonderful to do. It is a magnificent creative outlet. And like, I have a lot of creative outlets. I find what I do here to be creatively fulfilling. I've got this, and I've written novels, and I've done acting, I've done all kinds of stuff, but there's the specific combination of what comes together for burlesque that just feels good. My dad sent me a text asking if I was okay while he was away. Hang on, I had it. I tried to think of a joke answer all day, then forgot to reply at all because I think of myself as I told him when he got home, and he said, "You could have just said yes instead of trying to make up a joke." I mean, he's not wrong, especially if he was a little bit concerned. Wearing the Inside Out was my favorite song on the Division belt. That's a pretty good one. Was that the Vinyl Nun number, Vera? Yes, Carolyn, that was the Vinyl Nun. I have that track. It's a B-side on the fly. And also, I love you more than ever now. Think of myself as fun. Oh, okay. So that's what you meant there. 255. Let's see. Got to be wrapping up soon. I have a question. I just started posting to my YouTube with shorts. Do you have any advice? Because I want to try and talk about comics and cartoons and stuff. Not really. I like my use of the shorts format's pretty limited, and it's basically just when I have something I want to say that I don't need a full video for. Be aware the shorts algorithm is not kind, and it is going to dump your stuff in front of a bunch of people who are probably going to be very mean to you. And it will not be a reflection on your work. It will be the fact that the algorithm used for the shorts format sucks. Like, the algorithm for the main stuff on YouTube isn't great, but it's better than that. Just a note to say thank you for your channel. Very entertaining and thought-provoking. Thought-provoking. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Do you like the song Take On Me by Aha? Yeah, it's a real fun song. That's a good synth riff. Oh boy, that'd be a good question too. Great synth riffs. That one's up there for sure. Do you think enough time has passed to have another companion tragedy in Doctor Who, considering the last proper one was Bill in Series 10? See, you're asking someone who doesn't want that at all most of the time. So I'm probably still going to say wait longer, even considering how long it's been. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. It's all about the story and the creativity. Oh, and a good costume reveal. This is true. Nicolas Cage's performance as Longlegs is to be expected. Completely batshit crazy, like a cross between Buffalo Bill, Tiny Tim, and the cat lady from The Simpsons. I've heard that. Not really my genre, so I'll probably never see that. Yes, Carol and I will do the hyping in just a minute. Great synth riffs. Jump by Van Halen. That's a good one. Just Can't Get Enough by Depeche Mode. That's a good one. The reply I wanted to send was, is the Russian patriarchy Eastern Orthodox? But I'm not sure he'd get it. Yeah, it might have been better just to say I'm fine in that case. But anyway, yes, stuff coming up. Twilord sneaking in there with a last-minute super chat. Largely asking for taste, not moral. I'm super sex positive, also feel hypocritical, but they've been 12 for 20 years to me. It made its point well. Yeah, I can definitely see how when you've been dealing with what is functionally an ageless character and suddenly they're like, oh, and hey, they're an adult now and have a sex drive. You're like, whoa. I can get that would be jarring. Anyway, it's Disability Pride and Gay Wrath Month, y'all. Very nice context wrench. Anyways, so what is coming up? Tomorrow I will be streaming on Twitch. I will be playing more of Boyfriend Dungeon. That will be at 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Also tomorrow here on this channel, I will have a video updating the current nonsense that the BBC is giving me because it changed my opinion on some of the stuff that they've been pulling. So that'll be up at noon. Here, there is no Quill and Sword stream this week. Friday will be more Twitch. Probably still be on Boyfriend Dungeon. If I haven't moved on to something else, we'll see. And then Saturday's video will be about the Neil Gaiman allegations. And it will be long. It's going to be close to 2 hours. So, yeah. Of course I've heard Dark Side of the Moon, Adrian. Of course, that one's classic. But thank you very, very, very much. Thank you all for joining me. This has been fun. This has been lovely. I hope you have a good rest of the week, a good rest of the month, a good rest of the year. Take care of yourselves. Be well, be safe, be kind, and remember that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council, and I am just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. McCavity!